So I read in the I don't know, somewhere that whenever it comes to the public opinion, the court of public opinion, we should have a preponderance of evidence. We should have overwhelming evidence before we convict somebody. And I think that's actually a really good idea. So many people, especially in the media, all these media figures, they want to jump in, they want to say guilty, 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 and of course they want to get higher ratings, and they want to say, basically if it bleeds, it leads. So they want to try to get all the fucking dirt and all the bullshit. But you're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So the public should actually have way more information before they say, that person is guilty. The court of law, let the process, let it go through the process, analyze the evidence, see what, the testimonies are, and go from there. There was recently in Elizabethtown, there's a lady that drove into a Kroger. She just drove into, and she'd done it before, so this isn't the first time. This crazy lady just drives her car into, I don't know if it's the same Kroger, but she's drove her car into a building before. And this had actually, there's a domestic violence dispute where the guy drives into the car, right? So that's just sort of a Kentucky thing, right? That's happening in Kentucky. Solve your problems just by driving your car into a building. Just drive into a building. Who gives a shit, right? If she cheated on you, you don't have any other choice. Kroger, is selling milk for $3 a gallon. You got to fuck them up. So that's happening in Kentucky. This other thing, actually, I want to talk about the sheriff arrest, but these other things just kind of caught my attention, and I wanted to say something about them to somebody somewhere. So in the Highland Heights in northern Kentucky, this is November 14th, 2013, and actually a lot of weird shit happened in November 14, 2013. That's when you had John Price, who was killed in Muldrow. Then you also had the little boy and the mother and the boyfriend who, killed them and killed himself. So it was a double homicide-suicide that happened in Meade County in November. And that was a few days before the Muldrow thing. I don't know if one is necessarily connected to the other, but one never knows. So in Highland Heights, the attorney for a woman accused of fatally shooting her boyfriend in October 2012 has filed a motion asking a judge to throw out some of her statements to detectives when she was arrested. Shayna Hubers, 22, is facing one count of murder in the October 12th shooting death of Ryan Poston, 29, at his Highland Heights apartment. Poston was shot multiple times. Police said that Hubers, this woman, Shayna Hubers, told them she shot Poston in the face, and then he fell to the ground and began shaking. And then he shot him again to end his suffering. That's what the police said that she said. And now the attorney is asking the judge to throw those statements out, because the admission of, a confession it's going to be pretty damning to his case. And the prosecutor said Hubers killed Poston when he tried to break up with her. So they said he tried to break up. She says, no, you're not. Shoots him in the face. So that's happening in Kentucky too. There's recently in North Carolina, there's a 3-year-old that shot like a 17-month-old kid, a 3-year-old. So a fucking 3-year-old has enough cognitive sense to be able to reach out, grab a gun, shoot it at somebody. And I don't know how a kid could even get a hold of a gun, be unsupervised, have a gun around. But he was saying that he locked it in a compartment on the dresser, and somehow he had got up on the dresser. That reminds me of something that happened in Kentucky where a 5-year-old shot a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. So that shit's, we got kids killing kids here. So that's happening in Kentucky. Woody Harrelson, this is, something to do with the federal government versus state government, which the sheriff of Jackson County has put that issue at the forefront of national politics, right? Who's got more authority, the federal government or the local sheriffs? So Kentucky has legalized hemp, but this has made me think about, or I came across this article which I don't remember actually happening, but in 1996 Woody Harrelson had planted 4 hemp seeds in the ground as a symbolic protest, but I don't know if he got arrested for it. Yeah, he was immediately arrested and charged with misdemeanor possession. So he planted 4 hemp seeds, marijuana seeds, same plant, same fucking plant, cannabis sativa. Hemp and marijuana is the exact same plant. And so Woody Harrelson plants hemp seeds, but since it's marijuana seeds, he was charged with possession. So he got a possession charge for a fucking seed. That's Woody Harrelson. So he planted 4 seeds in the ground, got arrested, and so went to jail and got a misdemeanor possession charge on it. The Supreme Court of Kentucky, a state where growing marijuana, though illegal, is a huge business, #1 cash crop in Kentucky, upheld in 1937 state law against growing hemp. 1937 state law. So there's a state law in Kentucky in 1937 that made hemp illegal to grow. But it was raised in World War II, so evidently, that had been... But it said that the plant's similarity to the potent variety of cannabis put an undue burden on authorities trying to root out growers. The Lee County prosecutor, Lee County, right? We're going to hear about Lee County Sheriff getting arrested shortly. But the Lee County prosecutor said Harrelson's stunt was punishable under the law and carries a penalty up to a year in prison and a $500 fine. So for planting 4 seeds in the ground, Woody Harrelson is going to go to fucking Kentucky prison, okay, for a year and be fined $500. After a 1-day trial, the 6-person jury deliberated less than half an hour before they acquitted him on Thursday. Woody Harrelson got acquitted by a 6-person jury. Juries can nullify stupid fucking laws. They can say morals are more important than stupid fucking laws. We should not be hounding somebody. Woody Harrelson, a fucking superstar, right? So maybe all that was for the publicity, right? But the good thing the jury caught on and didn't fucking convict him like shit. He could have, jury could have said he was guilty, and then the judge said maximum sentence, put Woody Harrelson into Kentucky prison. How many people are in prison right now for, planting the same plant that Woody Harrelson planted, grew it up, and then smoked it? So I would say probably half of people in Kentucky prisons are there because of marijuana. So Woody Harrelson in 1996 planted 4 seeds, got acquitted, and it was fucking great. So it demonstrates that at least 6 people disagree with our Supreme Court about what the law should be. Charles Beale, who is Woody Harrelson's attorney. Several jurors commented afterwards that they thought the law was absurd, but added for at least hemp is illegal under state law. Harrelson and others have argued that hemp, which was one of Kentucky's leading cash crops up to 50 years ago, would be a boon to farmers, particularly the many tobacco growers in Kentucky whose traditional crop is becoming increasingly stigmatized. Hemp can be used to make textiles, paper, soap, and other products. Former Republican Governor Louis Nunn, which he actually kills somebody later on, fucking Louis Nunn. Former, I think, or he was a congressman. No, I don't know. I don't want to say that, but Republican Governor Louis Nunn, a member of Harrelson's defense team and hemp supporter, said Harrelson planted the seeds to challenge the law, not to break it. He said there's no evidence that any of the seeds germinated into a thriving plant. So, he wasn't possessed, he didn't possess any THC, so to say, is a seed marijuana, right? Is that too Roe v. Wade for you? Republican Governor Louis Nunn, because there was a nun who had actually, beat up his girlfriend and shit, that he got a domestic violence charge, Amanda Ross. So let's see, Louis Nunn, governor. So Louis B. Nunn, 52nd governor of Kentucky, is elected in 1967. So he was fucking governor from way back, long ass fucking time ago. Louis Nunn accused son Steve of abusing him. Okay, so this isn't his son. Steve Nunn is the one that had killed Lexington woman, Amanda Ross. And so this would be his daddy. His father was the governor, the first Republican governor of Kentucky in 1967, right? The first one to hold office since the end of Simon Willis's term in 1947. And then the last one to hold position until Ernie Fletcher until 2003. So he was in office until 1971, and then for 32 years in Kentucky, nothing but Democrats ran the state. So for 32 years after Louis B. Nunn. So Louis B. Nunn, he was part of Woody Harrelson's defense team. So interesting, that a former Republican governor is in favor of the legalization of hemp. And then his son, murders fucking Amanda Ross. I'm not sure if what kind of connection there is. Maybe it's the Republicanism, maybe it's the capitalism, the fascism. I'm not sure where that psychosis comes from. I mean, Republican governor, that's pretty, you know, you can't get no bigger of a face for a state than their governor. So he made a good argument, though, former Republican Governor Louis Nunn. He was part of Woody Harrelson's defense team. So what a fucking honor. What an incredible honor. Hemp is the same plant, right? The one guy, they were sitting there trying to say at a hearing that the police commissioner was had opposition to hemp growing because he's like, if you start raising hemp, you can't tell if the marijuana is going to be raised either. But former CIA Director R. James Woolsey, the specter of people getting high on industrial hemp, Mr. Woolsey said, is pretty much exactly like saying you could get drunk on O'Doul's, which is a non-alcoholic beer. So it's a pretty clever line, very true too. You can't get high on industrial hemp. The way it's raised, it's all stalk, no THC. You can smoke a whole acre of hemp and you wouldn't get high. It's off the buds of the cannabis sativa. So the hemp plant and the marijuana plant is the same plant. And hemp is legal in Kentucky, but it's being licensed, so you have to have a license to raise hemp. And marijuana is not legal. So there's a distinction that is going to have to be drawn in Kentucky if, you know, the fucking legislature don't get on it. So let's get 4 minutes into the sheriff, okay? So my fucking hero, my newfound hero, Denny Payman of Jackson County, Kentucky, is the sheriff, and he arrested the fucking judge executive in Jackson County. And what a tremendous opportunity. That's incredible. That's so, you know, the fact I was doing a bunch of Constitution videos, and this is actually, it goes to the heart of the balance of power for each and every county. There's a triumvirate of power. There's the county attorney, the sheriff, and the judge executive. Those three motherfuckers are the most powerful people in every county. 120 counties in Kentucky, and they're all run the same except for the big cities besides Lexington and Louisville. So if you're in a county in Kentucky, you have a set of rules for each one of the county officials, and they have to abide by everything that the set of rules state. So they're you know, they are paid pretty handsomely, and they're supposed to be for the public and shit. A lot of times they become the oppressors, but they're supposed to be there to help us, okay? And their duties are very well defined, so they're narrowly defined. So, you know, you can get people to you know, you're supposed to fucking give out marriage licenses at your fucking job. You're supposed to be, you know, storing records and shit, so you should have this stored. You gotta be running the elections, right? County clerks to run the damn elections. Sheriff is there for order. You know, there's riots are happening, sheriff, you need to do something. There's a vigilante, sheriff, you need to do something. So, incredible undertaking that's been happening. Denny Payman, Emperor for Life. Denny Payman is a badass. He's really, I like him a lot. I think he's got a good moral, he's headstrong, he's got a good moral core, and there is some self-preservation that's going on. Right now he's engaged in a sheriff's race. This is an election year, and he has to run against like 8 other motherfuckers. So there's 9 fucking people in the sheriff's race in Jackson County. So shit, you know, he's got no power. He's having to arrest people out of his fucking black Mustang car. And you know, the fucking judge executive cut all his funds. And the judge executive is a fucking Nazi. He's been a goddamn totalitarian fucking fascist bastard. You know, he's been in office for 18 years. So he's been in there for 18 fucking years. He probably does think he's the fucking king. William O. Smith. But when it came down to getting arrested, you know, the county attorney had no fucking, he basically said, you gotta go with them. You gotta get arrested. And so that, you know, the 18-year-long fucking tyranny of Jackson County is over. So congratulations. He's registered independent. I'm not sure what that means. He acts Republican, right? He's been in power for the last 7 years. Was power for 8 years during the 90s and 3 years during the 80s. So not consecutive. He's just been in power over and over again. He's an asshole, okay? William O. Smith, he's the one that brought Operation Unite into fucking Jackson County. So the militarism of Jackson County is now over. The fascism and totalitarian militarism that has grown up with Operation Unite and that has grown around William O. Smith is now over. William O. Smith is a bad, I don't know too much about him, but the story where he just leaves his daughter, so he's got a meth, his fucking daughter's like dealing meth, right, a 30-year-old daughter, and and he won't get her out of jail. So, you know, he's just a fucking prick. He's a fucking asshole. So, you know, he leaves his daughter in jail, so he doesn't really love his fucking kids. And he had said that he had tried to do everything else beforehand in his capacities as a father and sheriff in order to get her to comply with the law. But he had to get some other fucking person to arrest him and put him in jail and shit. So, you know, what a shitty bastard. He might have just turned his own daughter in and shit. But he knew about it for a long-ass time, right? So he knew that a crime was occurring, and he was covering her up for her. And then once she's in prison, then he's like, oh, I don't care. I don't care. Leave her there.